Lost in the dark.
Back, Crypt Crows!
What up?
We are back in the crypt tonight for a long overdue conversation.
Yes.
Let's cheers.
Yes.
Start this off. Cheers, everybody out there. Crypt Crew.
Been a while.
It has been a very long while for us. I know for you guys out there seeing this, it's probably we've had a steady stream of releases, but that was all bank shit mostly. We haven't actually been on the mic together in a very long time. And yeah, so it's been a very long time, and we had something happen over the last couple months. It sucks that we have to do one of these again, but it's not something we're ever going to be able to get used to, but it is necessary. And we have...
Well, let's kind of preface that with the fact that, like, the week that this happened, there was multiple, like, and even like the week before this, like this was what we're talking about happened in the span of, like, I'd say like 3 weeks, like 2.5 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Talking about a lot of musician losses, a lot of a lot of big ones.
Big ones.
Yeah.
Big.
And to me, like, it's still, I mean, like, the one specific that we're talking about was one of the ones that, like, I don't think I'd be sitting here without this person. Like,
yeah.
I don't think without what they put into this world, without, I don't, like, same thing with, you and Alexi. You kind of see it the same way. Like,
100%. 100%.
Obviously, if you don't know, Joey Jordison.
Or what we're talking about.
Yes.
Basically, you're Alexi.
Yeah.
What Alexi was to me is what Joey is to you in a lot of ways. Your biggest influence. Your guy. He's your guy.
Yeah.
He's your guy. He's your guy. You know what I mean? He's your guy from your generation. You know what I mean? It's that whole thing. It's like I talked about with Alexi. These ones are a lot harder, it seems like, than ones like Dio and stuff. Just because, like, they're kind of from the old guard. You know what I mean? They're not from our generation. They're from before us.
Yeah.
And so now we're losing ones that are ours. You know, we kind of feel, because they're from our generation, we kind of feel a little bit more like, not ownership, but like sentimentality kind of thing towards them on a level, because you kind of feel like you've grown with them in a lot of ways. And it's so when we lose one from our generation, which has just started to happen, kind of, I mean, of course it's happened, but the ones that are happening now are just the biggest ones for us,
I man, like, there is no way to understate how how important Slipknot is to metal, just in general.
Agreed.
But how, like, and in kind of, because we've been back and forth while doing it, like, recording this one. We've been back and forth about, like, when to do it and stuff. And I think to me, I needed the chance to kind of figure out, because after all this time, after so much, I was like, well, because he hadn't been in Slipknot since 2008 rather. His last album was All Hope Is Gone.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I believe 2013, 2014, and it's still kind of weird. Like, he found out later that he had a pretty severe medical condition where that, like, caused him to lose just the ability to, like, use his legs and stuff
to play.
Yeah, basically, he had a rare form of, I want to say, like, it's not scoliosis, something else.
MS.
Yeah.
MS. Yeah.
Some kind of, it's some super rare disease.
That's what I thought I remembered hearing something about that.
But it was weird when it happened, because they were it was very subtle. It was very, like, we were choosing part ways with Joey because of, you know.
It never felt like there was any bad blood.
Yeah.
At least from that, you know, they never allowed that to be perceived as any bad blood anywhere. At least, and I don't think there was.
Yeah.
You know?
It just like to me, I always kind of felt like, you know, and I have since. I've since, you know, grown to really appreciate, really, you know, I respect Jay, the new drummer.
Yeah, he's great.
A lot. Like, I think that he's one of the main reasons that the band is even able to do what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And
it sounds as fucking good as they do.
Yeah. It has like, it still has that same attitude to it, but it just has a very different kind of take to it.
It's a little bit like refined.
Yeah. It's a little more focused and stuff. Because I always, and that was the thing about his playing and stuff. Like even, I mean, anybody who's seen any like super early live shows of him, I've been going down like crazy rabbit holes.
Me too.
Watching a bunch of old live footage of him, and like, dude, you know, it's like there's a reason that every time we play a show, every time like I get on stage, like I don't try to play the same thing twice. Like that's where that comes from.
Really?
Like there's that. Yeah. Oh, dude.
From them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Like
I knew that's what you did, but I didn't know where you got that influence. That yeah.
I mean, well, a lot of it kind of stems from just wanting to, wanting to kind of give that like special kind of spin onto whoever, onto the live show, really.
Yeah.
But it all kind of started with that is because like, I mean, I guess to kind of back up like his playing and stuff, like I mean, from a bit of a younger age, like getting into heavy music and stuff, like, I came across a variety of bands, Metallica, obviously, like all the big four bands.
We all do.
Yeah, like that was, yeah. I was pretty big into thrash metal for a long time. But really, like, when there's something about that Volume 3 record, man, that just the aggression of it,
yeah,
like, just the way that it sounded, the way that the drums specifically sounded on it,
In hindsight, too, like, not necessarily the ones that were played on the radio, but when you go back and listen to that album, it's almost, and you just remove the fact that they're one of the biggest bands in the world. Just, like, focus on the album itself. It's crazy that any song off that album got played on the radio at that point in time.
Yeah.
To me, like, I get it. Like, yeah, there's singing and stuff like that. I get why it's radio friendly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the fact that you
listen to that thing and it is ferocious, and it's like, this was on the radio. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just in 2008. You know what I mean? Or whenever it came out, like.
Well, that was because Volume 3 was 2004.
Four. Yeah. So even earlier. Yeah. That was, Jesus Christ, 2004. So that's before. That's pre-Sacrament. That's pre. Like, Are You Dead Yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. And like. So I guess like in just kind of wanting to feel like I was, or just because a lot of times I remember I was quite a bit younger when Paul passed away from the same band.
Yeah. Okay.
Obviously another
God,
insanely important member of the band. One of the founding members, one of the guys that like, and I said this earlier, talking about the fact that I really feel like Joey and Paul really brought the heaviness to Slipknot.
I mean, yeah, wasn't he in it before Corey even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Joey, Paul, and Clown are the main guys.
Yeah. So now there's just Clown left as the original.
Yeah.
Damn.
I feel like and that's to no discredit to Corey because
no, he just wasn't there. He came in came in after that's fine.
It was a perfect fit for it.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it's crazy to hear him talk about like in older interviews how like he was in Stone Sour and saw him before
he was
in the band.
A lot of people don't realize Stone Sour existed pre Corey Taylor Slipknot.
Yeah.
Like that, a lot of people think it came after it. That is not the case.
Yeah.
I thought it came after at a certain point in time. Honestly, I thought Stone Sour was second. So
I can see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy to hear him talk about it now because he's like, he was like when I saw him for the first time, he was like, I will sing for this band one day.
I've heard him tell that story.
Which is insane.
Have you has I know Clown has that great Electric Theater podcast.
Yeah.
Have you listened to anything lately? Has he mentioned Joey?
I haven't.
I haven't either. And
Yeah.
now that it just kind of popped in my head, and I was like, I really would like to hear what his statement was.
I've heard.
I'm not even 100% sure he's released an episode. I'm not sure. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen one pop up. So maybe he's breaking for a minute, like taking a break for a minute. But
they're
getting ready for the tour. But
that's a whole other story right now.
Yeah, we actually
man.
There is a alternate universe where you and I went to Astronomicon this past weekend.
Yeah.
and got to meet Jason Mewes and Corey Taylor.
Jeez, I forgot he was supposed to be there too.
Everybody, pretty much everybody but Kevin Smith from Kevin Smith's movies was there. Shannon Elizabeth, a whole bunch of people were there from Kevin Smith stuff. They on Friday, the day that it opened, Corey Taylor told everybody that he's very, very sick with COVID. So that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Fingers fucking crossed he gets better and this tour happens.
Yeah. I saw an update. I don't know what it was from, but it said that he was vaccinated for it. So that's...
No, I think that was he's like, I got it, but I'm very, very sick. I got it, and I've already been vaccinated. Because everybody that's going on tour got pretty much, and the metal tour of the year kicked off on Friday night in Texas. I don't know if you saw it. There was a great thing Randy posted from Soundcheck on Instagram stories.
I think I did.
He was doing Soundcheck. He's like, our dumbasses decided to start the metal tour of the year in fucking Texas, and it's 100 degrees, and this is the first time we've ever had pyro.
Yeah, I saw that.
And he Soundcheck and walk with me, and Hell's like, wow, man, and fucking Art Cruz must have literally just been melting in that chair because all the fire was right around him.
Yeah.
That cracked me up.
Yeah.
That cracked me up. Fingers crossed that man continues to go off without a hitch, even I don't know if you saw it today. Hatebreed's bus broke down.
Yeah.
So
Dude, I saw that too.
Switch the meet and greet to after the show.
Yeah. Dude, it's like that's we'll get into this more in the next one, but there's been just we're going through it, man.
Shit,
even one way or another.
Even just the other day, I think on their way to Florida, Convalescence blew a tire.
Yeah.
I was this close to commenting just every time. It'll almost be worrying the day they have a tour without a hitch.
Nothing happens.
When nothing happens. Yeah. It's like, is this a sign of the apocalypse? Because they have the craziest tour stories ever.
Yeah.
God damn. But anyway, back to Joey. Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah. I just, I kind of been back and forth about how we do this because, and at this point, it's been, a couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks since it happened. Talked about doing it a couple of times, and really, the only thing that I can really think to do is to just, I will never be able to, get over the fact that I'd been to smaller shows before this, but the fact that I was able to see the entirety of the original lineup for my first show ever. It was with Trivium, Coheed, and Slipknot.
At the Palace.
At the now defunct Palace
of Auburn Hills, Michigan.
Yeah. I still have the tour T-shirt from that. It was 2009. 9, oddly enough.
Oh shit. That's kind of. That's interesting.
I was in because we were talking about moving everything around and stuff and coming up here and I remember in the older crypt we had all the shirts and stuff.
Yep.
I think I'm not sure because I feel like I still maybe either want to do something. I don't know, but if nothing else, I want to put that somewhere in here.
Yeah. That's
like,
very doable. I have a dream of one day when we have an actual studio, like because I want the shirt thing to come back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, how do you do it? And the best idea I have right now is literally a glass wall. So like, but it's like separate. Like the one side of it's in a room, and then the outside of it is like a hallway. So as you walk around it, like you see the fronts and the backs. You know what I mean?
Oh shit!
Because how do you get the front and the back? You know, how do you display both sides without cutting it in half?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We could like.
I've been trying to figure it out.
Could like hang it from the ceiling a little bit. Have it like. You remember? God, this is gonna like be like super dating, but like you remember walking to Hot Topic a long time ago and had like. I mean, I'm sure they still have it now, but yeah, like the wall, like t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
Try to find like some way to like. I don't know, maybe like press them in there and then like have it be like hanging down from something.
That might be. That's a good idea. But yeah, that would be. Like I told you when we were talking. Yeah, like anything you want to do in the crypt to have a little memorial for Joey. Even if it's. I said little. I literally said get a poster the same size as the one Alexi, and we'll hang it right next to Alexi.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you want to do, yeah, because that's what we do. That's the whole thing, you know. Like when we lose our heroes, especially people like us, and especially people in the heavy metal community, I think it's extra important because everybody knows that unless you're a metalhead, everybody else hates fucking metal. Like everybody else hates everything that we love. They think it's stupid. They don't understand it. It's Cookie Monster vocals. God damn it! If I could have just a penny, if I had a penny for every time someone said I like the music but I hate the vocals, I would be a billionaire. A fucking billionaire.
Easy.
So when most of the world is never going to remember them or notice them, it's up to us to memorialize them and keep their names alive. It's almost like this is kind of a joke, but it's almost tempting just to have kids just to make them listen to it so it continues on for generations. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think it's extra special and important for us to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it's like, and that's the thing. It's like I don't even really know how to like, because there's so much that I could say. Like there's so much that
and that was the thing because when we did the Alexi one, I literally I was just in such a bad fucking head place where I was like, I don't know what's gonna come out, but I know I need to let stuff out on that microphone. And so and that's what that episode was. You know.
You know, the one thing that I can kind of harken back to that, and it's crazy that happened in like the same, well, not necessarily like the same time period, but it was
kinda,
it was like within
6 months. 7 months,
and like we didn't even know that at the time. It wasn't until that's right, there was something else I wanted to show too. At the time, like I had no idea that they were like best friends. Alexi and Joey.
Alexi and Joey, yeah. No, neither of us did.
Yeah.
And you say that. You said that earlier, and I was gonna ask, but I decided not to. Let's save it for this. What it sounds like you may have found something more, because all I've seen are like a couple pictures of them two hanging out. But you're like they're like best friends. So where's that coming from?
Well, a lot of it is just pictures that I've seen.
Lots of pictures, way more pictures than I ever knew of them together.
But really, it was and I don't know when exactly it was, like how long it had been, but and I hadn't started listening to his podcast until after this episode, because he did a memorial episode for it. But Rob Flynn from Machine Head did it's No Fucking Regrets, I think, is his podcast.
Yeah, he's got a great podcast over there. Shout out to come on. What the fuck is the name of the network?
Oh, Gas Digital.
Gas Digital. Yeah. Shout out to Gas Digital.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Always got
fucking best.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff on there. But yeah, I was in the like, one night I was, and maybe it was, I don't know if it was the night that I guess it wouldn't have been the night that happened because I didn't look it up, but like, I don't know, it must have been like a few days after where I was still kind of reeling from it a little bit. I just looked up, his name on like I guess that's kind of the cool the cool thing about Spotify is like it allows you to kind of like if because I typed in his name and I typed in Joey.
Okay.
Yeah, I typed in his full name and I went to like look up like episodes or just like topics or whatever.
Oh, you can do that on Spotify?
Yeah.
It'll just like show you. Oh wow, that's neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't know it until this, but and I've done it a few more times just to kind of just keep up to date with stuff because like the first couple of days after it happened, like there wasn't really a whole lot, but his podcast was one of them, and he did a full, like I guess it was probably an hour or so podcast where it was just him like just talking about just all the experiences that he had with him, or just like all the all the memories, whatever, and like he kind of like he kept going back to the fact that, like he wasn't like super best friends with him, but any time that he would like be in the same space, it was always like just family like party and stuff like that, or it was just good time or whatever. And like there was one time like there was I think it was like I don't know it was quite a far way into the podcast, but he talked about Alexi and Joey. He was like the fact that he was like the fact that they both like like hung out all not so much like all the time, but he was like I think the one thing that he said was like anytime they were in the same space, it was always just chaos. Like, it was always a party. You know what I mean? Like it was always kind of
Can you imagine?
But I bring that up because not only were those two like they knew each other, they were in the same circle, right?
Yeah.
But just to show how far, and I want to post this to somewhere. I don't know if
we'll post it on the Lost in the Dark Instagram.
Somehow, but like when I first started playing drums, right? It was like I was into it because my dad obviously taught me a lot and was the big reason that I was even able to get into it. And for a while I would play just a variety of rock bands, rock songs. Green Day was one of my first influences. Trey Cool, obviously.
Trey Cool.
Dude's just he's awesome.
He's great.
He's like super underrated. I feel like
I
agree. Still.
I agree.
But that's beside the point. When I first really started getting into heavier music, when I first started being like, this is kind of cool. Like there's something I could do with this here. It was Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater, and I feel like I've talked about him before, but there's a reason I'm talking about this is because like from an earlier age, like I was like my dad was a big Dream Theater fan. He got me into Train of Thought. The whole like drawing of that artwork is on the snare drum that I use quite often. I think I've talked about it a few times, but beyond that, it was again another great that I feel like really kind of the band kind of took a different direction without them was the Red from Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay.
It was him who's another like just entirely too soon, man. Like and even to this day I still think about the fact that like what could have been with that band. Like they could have been like who knows really. But beyond the and I guess it was kind of about the same time that I got into those two bands, but the main point was like it was him and it was Joey, because when I first around the time when I was kind of like really getting into it, like I was big into like playing video games and stuff. I still am, but I would always like pay attention to like game soundtracks, right? And a lot of the ones that I would play would be like like rock or metal soundtracks or something like. And I think there was like an ATV Off-Road Fury game, which is like super obscure or whatever. Right. But like I think it was like the third one or whatever, but it had Duelli on it.
Oh.
And I remember the first like it was within like the first couple of seconds of the game. Like it just opens with that like the big cinematic that happens before you actually get into it. It was that like I pushed my finger, it was that intro. So I heard that and then I was like, I remember listening to it on that, and then a couple of years later, I would like really get into them because people were talking about like the mask thing,
Yes.
Like, I was always just super, just like it's okay. I was always like super just intrigued about the mask thing because
Yeah.
it was something that I feel like I've seen other bands do, but it was never something that like they did quite as well.
No one's the only two band. Well, and I'm not saying that other bands haven't done it well, but the two bands that to pull that kind of a thing off in history top have to be Kiss and Slipknot.
Yeah.
There's no question. I
Yeah.
don't think there's no
I would
argument there.
I would put Guar in there as well. Maybe
I mean-
maybe on a bit more of an obscure level.
I guess part of that equation that I'm including in my head is that for a large chunk of time in the beginning of both of these bands' careers, nobody knew their real names or what they actually looked like.
The anonymity of it.
It was those when you factor that anonymity thing in. No, I don't think anybody's done it like those two.
And that was a big part of just getting into them in general. Was the fact that like for a time, like there was that like that mystery to it.
Yeah.
There was the fact that like, you know, the first 3 records, nobody knew who they were.
Right.
Like it was just
literally.
Yeah, they just and that like, you know, there was something that I really connected with about that, and it was like going back now. I was watching an interview recently from the first record, and they were super, super underground. And it was like first album, first mask, whatever. And they were explaining it like super raw, like VHS quality style shit.
Yeah.
But like one of the things that like there's the imagery of it. There's like the the barcodes, which is a symbol of the fact that they didn't want to be a part of the music business. That was their rebellion towards that. There was the mask thing, which is a whole other like personal thing that they put into it. They all had numbers, and the numbers were a way to kind of like take away that personal trait of it, but the mask thing kind of brought that back in with it.
Yeah.
And I love that shit.
Yeah.
Like, and there's something about like then there's been other bands that have done it, Mushroom Head.
Sure. Like, yeah, and they've done it fairly well, but they never had like I don't think they. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but I don't remember them ever having like the nobody knows who we are thing going on.
Yeah.
Or them or Guar.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like both of them have always kind of like
real mystique of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I got into them, it was a little more, and I always kind of wish that I would have had the chance to see them on the Volume 3 tour, because that record, like, there's no way to understate how much that record changed my life, dude. Like, there's, I knew every note of that backwards and forwards. I would listen to that constantly. It would be on repeat all the time. Like there's a reason that Opium of the People. I did a drum cover of that. I love the mid songs, like the deep cuts off that record. I think the only thing that I wish was a little bit different was the production on it, because once you get into like bonus track stuff, I'm a real nerd because I know this, but the fact that like there's two different versions of fuck, what's the it's not, sorry, I'm blanking.
Two versions of a song?
Vermilion.
There's two versions?
Yeah. Well, technically there's 3. Because there's Vermilion Part 2, which is the acoustic version, which is a little more like haunted and creepy, which is on the record. There's the original like studio version of Vermilion, which is the one that like people mostly hear, and then there's the the version of it that was on the bonus edition of Volume 3, which was mixed by somebody completely different, and it adds such a different like texture to it. Because it's mixed so differently. There's a little bit more of the detailing with like the drums, the percussion stuff. It's a little bit more like kind of pulled back and stuff. And I always kind of wondered what it would sound like if the entire record had that kind of production on it. Because that's the one thing that every time I go back to that record, it's like I just kind of like I mean coming off of the heels of Iowa, for fuck's sake. like one of their heaviest records.
Yeah.
One of even still one of the heaviest albums ever.
Yeah. Seriously.
And their self-titles, which is
Mm-hmm.
Something entirely different. I just like and the thing that I always kind of forget about is the fact that like and obviously anybody that's been following the band for as long as they have knows that like I mean even up to now like there's been nothing but just a black cloud. Like there's been nothing but just like struggle with the band, but they have always continued to keep going.
Yeah.
Like they've always like that, and that to me is a real true testament of the fact that like like if you really truly believe in what you're doing, and if you think that like there's any real reason to keep going, like you'll find a way with it.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we're talking about a 9-piece metal band from Iowa that formed in the 90s that is now like almost 30 years later.
And one of the biggest bands on earth.
Yeah, and has gone through like at least three key member changes.
It's their band has gone through literally everything a band can go through.
Yeah, and still continues to press on. Like and that's that's something that
not just press on, but strive.
Yeah.
Like continues to get better.
Yeah.
Like their newest album is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so outstanding.
And that's something I love about it is that like anybody who really has been paying attention to the band for a while, or even just just getting into it, will recognize the fact that Joey, like the first 4 records of the band is something that is like the formative years, I suppose.
Sure.
And is kind of the reason that someone like me and I'm sure many others have drawn influence from.
Yep.
Like and that's something that I loved about hearing all these podcasts was that like every last one that I heard was the fact that they were talking about somebody that for a generation of people, what or just like kids or the younger generation getting into heavy music was the reason to pick up the instrument.
Yes.
Was the reason to kind of keep things going.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that like and like those first 4 albums are insane, and the fact that they have 2 more now, working on a 3rd, possibly a 4th.
Right now?
Because I say 4th loosely because of the 3rd is like obviously because it's been 2.5 years since We Are Not Your Kind, since the last record.
Yeah.
And I know that they've been in the studio. I've seen different pictures and stuff.
Yes.
But there's also the other project, which is the stuff that's
old stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something Outside Your Window. Every time I reference it, I feel I want to say something, but I always feel like it kind of like comes off of that Korn album. Take a Look in the Mirror. It's a similar title, but it's all like older kind of experimental stuff that was happening between All Hope Is Gone and Volume 3.
Yes.
And to me, for somebody that got into them around that same era, like it could be anything. It could really be anything as far as that goes, because they put out a lot of B-sides and stuff, and the special edition of like there's a song on the special edition of Volume 3 that is like I don't know, like 10 minutes, Danger Keep Away. It's like a whole other there's a whole other section of that song that existed before what actually ended up being on the record. Okay. Which is, that's I kind of live for that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's been just things that going down like crazy like rabbit holes and stuff. Finding a demo version from '95 of Alexi playing something off the first record or something,
No, if I knew of any unreleased Alexi recordings, I would be fucking emailing whoever I need to email to hear that shit. You know what I mean? Like, I need that. I live for that shit too.
What I'm sure you can. Like the night, or I guess the day that it happened, because I like at this point I kind of vaguely remember where I was when I figured out that Paul Gray passed away. I was at least in high school. Um, it was a bit after I saw them live. Um, but I'll never forget like just the kind of, because it's always it's weird to me when things like this happen, like it's hard to kind of place it, because it's like Joey, and in that same respect Paul or Alexi, for example. I mean, well, I guess it's a little different because we met Alexi.
Yeah.
I wish, even still to this day, I wish that I would have kind of like got out of my own way and like actually kind of asked them certain things. But still, like, like when you find out that that somebody that you love listening to, that you have, that has essentially been a part of your life,
yeah,
for however long.
Yep.
And you see, everywhere you look, every little bit of like social media stuff for the first few days, even like a little bit after, depending on what pages you follow, type shit. You see posts, you see like memories from people, like,
Yep.
And I always have a hard time. I don't want to say like relating to that, but I always have a hard time, I guess, processing it, because it's not, and Rob Flynn, to kind of backtrack to that podcast, kind of mentioned the same thing. He was like, I was never like best friends with him. I was never like, it wasn't something that like we hung out every single day type shit. But
Right.
He was like, the fact that, you almost recognize that, and to me, it was that harsh realization that, like, and I kind of, I guess, admittedly, because Joey hasn't been in the band since like 2013, right?
Right.
He's been in a variety of other things, which I've been, like kind of an in and out fan of. I will always hold, just there's always a special place for me for anything that he's done with Slipknot. But there's been certain projects that Joey's been a part of that, I have either been a fan of, or like Scar the Martyr was the first band that he was a part of after the whole split. And while that was going on, they did a couple records. And the last thing that he did, which I really want to do a bit of a deep dive into, because there was 2 records that he put out with that band. It's called Insanum.
Okay.
And it was a bit more of like a straightforward death metal project.
Oh wow.
But he kind of wrote, he wrote everything. He wrote everything for Scar the Martyr as well. And then there was Vimic, which happened between Scar the Martyr, and I think it was like coming off of what that was, and then kind of switched into Vimic, which was a little bit of a different kind of feeling project. But like it's such a weird thing to try to put into words what somebody means, when you haven't ever really actually met them, like when you haven't had like a full-on sit-down like when you don't know them personally.
Yeah.
And it's funny, and the reason that I've been kind of like trying to find a way to go into this is because I had a very rare chance to meet Joey, and I will always regret this because I hate myself for it, because I knew that, like, if I would have taken the chance with this, I would have been there. Like, I would have been in it. And it was the first Mayhem Fest year that I went to with it was when Joey was playing with Korn. And it was it was Korn, Lamb of God, and let me look up the lineup. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, tell me the lineup and tell me the year, because I kind of feel like I might have been there.
I think we might have ran into each other that same year. I think that was the year that it happened.
And then the next year we went together.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay, I remember that then. Yeah, we did just like end up finding each other, which is insane if you actually think about it.
Yeah.
But it's fucking nuts. I think that would have been the second year that it was happening. I can't remember what the first year, the date of the actual first year. I can't remember, but I think that one was the second one. I want to say I didn't go. I couldn't go to the first one. First one was like sold out or something. Probably could have gone. And I think I went to a different show that same night anyway.
God damn, I don't remember. 2010.
When was the first one? What year?
Okay, yeah, this was the show.
It was 2010.
It was yeah. And that year was Korn, Rob Zombie, Lamb of God, Five Finger Death Punch.
And that wait, in 2010?
Yeah. Side stage was Atreyu, Norma Jean, 3 Inches of Blood, In This Moment.
I 100% was at that concert.
Yeah.
100%.
Other side stage, dude. Oh my god, I would kill to see this shit again.
Who was it?
Hatebreed, Chimera, which Chimera that yeah, that's a fair reaction.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Chimera, the only time I ever had a chance to see them, Shadows Fall and Winds of Plague.
Oh!
Yeah. Winds of Plague, I was like up front for Winds of Plague.
Wins. That's probably the first time I ever saw Wins.
Yeah. But it was, and this was Lamb of God Wrath Tour. Like
Yep.
this was, yeah. But so to kind of let me backtrack real quick. So this I was, and I'll dude, I will never forget this shit. And I don't even know if they knew that. Goddamn, excuse me. And that moonshine fucking me up. So I want to say Joey was playing with either Rob Zombie or Korn. He's played with both of them.
Okay.
But he was on that tour, and I remember that was the year that the Murder Dolls record came out, which is Women and Children Last, which is kind of a little niche like goth kind of band. I was listening to it the other night, and I don't really know if it aged super well because I wasn't really into it the same way. But anyway, he was there promoting that with I think Wednesday 13. But all right, let me tell this story because I'm still like, and this was like, God, it's 2021 right now.
You look like you're getting ready to tell me the story that I have about missing Arch Enemy.
Yes.
And never getting to see them.
It's very similar.
Okay.
Very similar. So I. All right. So Atreyu was on one of the side stages, right?
Uh-huh.
I was a big fan of Atreyu at the time. And this was like. Just like post lead sales paper anchor, just for context for anybody who gives a fuck about Atreyu.
And side stage at DT at Mayhem Fest would have been meaning in the parking lot.
Yeah, dude. Like
the shit.
Yeah, some of the best shows I've ever seen.
Yeah,
have been in that parking lot.
Yeah.
So there's that. And like so yeah. I guess let me set this out for you since you have the visual.
Mm-hmm.
Atreyu was in the first stage, which is kind of like the further lot. And then there was another stage that was kind of sandwiched in between the two.
So this was the one where the stages were like facing each other. They weren't next to each other.
No, they were next to each other.
Oh, okay.
And there was, I don't know who was setting up. Might have been Shadow's fault. I don't fucking know. Some other band was setting up. They were in the far stage. Shadow's fault was in the other, right? I had a friend that I went there with that like I guess they like found. Or like somehow procured a way to get like sign it because you remember how it was like you have to sign up and like pay a little extra for the wristband. They got you into the signing type stuff except for Mastodon. That was weird. That was just like hopping the line.
It's so funny you say that. Me and Preston were just talking about because that was the next year.
Yeah.
That was the next year that Mastodon was there, and like literally, yeah, we walked up to the tent thinking we were in line for some free Rockstar energy drinks. All of a sudden, we're meeting Mastodon.
Yeah, there's fucking Brand Daler.
Yeah,
like
signing a poster, free poster.
Yeah,
it was all free. It was crazy.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where like, but this was different because I feel like you had to pay for this. But out of the way, and I guess to kind of backtrack a little bit further, I went with two of my best friends from high school, which I'm still kind of close with, and then another friend of mine who like this was kind of our first time hanging out because they were from like somewhere in Detroit.
Okay.
Like at the time I didn't have a car, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. So anyway, so two of them like somehow find a way to get like the signing passes, right?
Okay.
Like the little wristbands and stuff. I'm over watching Atreyu for the first time because at the time I was really into him. This was like after lead sales. This was probably like Congregation of the Damned type stuff, like stuff that I was still into. I'll never forget this, man. I'm in the middle of like one or the other. There's a pit in front of me. There's like whoever's setting up behind me, but there's still stuff going on. I'll never forget. My friend sends me a text. It's like, we just met Joey. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was so mad that because there was no way I was getting over there. You remember how it was?
Right. Yeah.
Like you had to, you had to
have
really
been a bulldozer basically.
Yeah.
To get through that shit.
So like, dude, oh my god, and like my my friend still has a picture with them.
Oh.
Like dude, I will never. I don't know if Atreyu was sick. I will, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I still remember that. They were
At least
sick.
it was a good show.
It was cool, yeah. But like, dude, there man, there was nothing. There would be nothing. Well, I mean, and the only thing that makes up for it was the fact that later on that day, and it was the same day. Like, man, if this all would have happened the same day, like I don't know if I'd still be sitting here. Like I'd have probably like killed myself a long time ago, because it doesn't get any cooler than this. Like later on that day, I get a picture. I get a chance to meet fucking Randy Bly and Jamie Josta. Like
I forgot about
at the same signing. Yeah,
I forgot you actually met them.
Yeah, I still got.
I've still never met Randy.
Oh my god! Like
it was Jamie once.
It was it was brief. I mean, you know how signings at Mayhem Festival.
Yeah.
Like it was very brief. It was very but still just to have that, Like
what's fucking hilarious? Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
To actually have a picture with him.
Yeah. But dude, I
think what's hilarious about that Mastodon thing though is that I'm pretty sure we got in that line for Rockstar drinks.
Yeah.
I think we got in that line after leaving the line we were just in for basically the exact same thing, but it was with Children of Bodom.
Yeah.
And that's when that was the first time that I met Alexi.
Yeah.
Which
nuts. I was trying to catch because I remember, man, Mayhem Fest needs to come back.
Dude.
That gave me some of the best memories of my life.
Ever. It was one of the best festivals ever.
I remember, I don't know if Born of Osiris is playing or if this was the same year that Upon a Burning Body was on it, but either way, I was trying to get in some video that they were filming, which I never. Or no, I'm sorry. It was Born of Osiris.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, and I wasn't because, dude, it would have been so much cooler to meet them, even just for a second.
Yeah.
Because the show was cool, don't get me wrong, but just that, there's something about it,
Yeah.
Like when you have that chance of even if it's just a second to just meet somebody that was just is the reason that you do what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just man, and that's the reason that even fucking here we are, that was 2010. It's
11 years ago.
Yeah, I'm still kicking myself for that shit. And it's weird that because Slipknot has played. I know that they played the first the first Mayhem Fest. I think they played the fourth or fifth one. Because it was, and I remember being at the show that they played or the tour that they played after because it was the first time I'd seen him without Paul.
Oh.
I remember they had the gigantic 2. They had the big number 2
okay.
inside, and they had his whole coveralls, his mask and stuff on stage. So I remember that, and that was pretty special. But yeah, dude, I just I don't know, and even to this day, I don't know if I would have had the chance to, because they only had 2 passes. It was only 2.
Right.
I don't know if I would have had the chance to. I don't know if it would have ever happened.
Right.
I don't know what I would have said. like, but just the fact that like I just you know and like the closest I had to him was like from here to like where that I mean you can't see it, but like
Right.
where that cat thing is,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the closest I had. Like and I'm pretty sure I have a picture of that same like where I was standing, and I was like, that's Joey, man. Like like I just like
Yeah.
you think back on that shit, and you're just like, dude, like ah. So, but anyway, like I just I guess I don't know. We're about an hour into this. I guess like the main thing that I want to say, the main point I want to get across is that like I mean we've been kind of back and forth about when to do this. More so me probably than you.
Well, I just wanted,
But
yeah.
it's tough, man. Like
I wanted, yeah.
it's tough when because it's and I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier about the fact that like it's weird to kind of to put this into words
Hmm.
because like it wasn't like I was like I knew him. It wasn't like I was like like we were best friends or whatever. It wasn't like I even ever had the chance to say anything. But it
Right.
was like it's the fact that like when I was the formidable years
Yeah.
when I was in high school, and like, Volume 3 was out, like, they were still fucking dangerous, man.
Yeah.
Like, when All Hope Was Gone came out, like, that was, I remember, like, I remember watching the premiere of Psychosocial on TV type shit,
Yep.
Like, I remember all this stuff, I go back constantly, I wish that I could have been, like, the only thing that bums me out about the first time I saw him was that, and the two people that were with me will know what I'm talking about because I didn't actually buy tickets to this. I didn't know that like I was really into Slipknot at the time, but it wasn't like I was still at that age where like I wasn't able to drive to my to see shows
Oh,
that
yeah.
far out.
Yeah.
It was still a big deal. And so like I remember the night when it was like we decided to go in on this. We decided to like do this and stuff. Like we had like dude, we had nosebleed seats,
Hmm.
man. Like we weren't on the floor. I
Hmm.
wasn't like up front. Like I was so fucking far away from all of it. But like just the night that we saw it the first time, that dude, I was losing my mind,
Yeah.
man. I didn't care who the fuck was around me. I didn't care how close I
Don't
was to
be
the
near
stage.
me.
Yeah. Like I remember when they walked off stage and like the lights went out and stuff. Like I remember like yelling, like starting a chant for Slipknot. Like,
Oh,
dude, like it was one of those moments and stuff, And like I just, it's been so hard to like just to kind of like remember that stuff and to kind of like not so much hard, but just like there's a part
it
of you
feels
that
different now.
yeah there's a part of you that really like I could have been 1,000 fucking miles away, but the fact that like, I was able to see the original
Yeah.
lineup of the band
Yeah.
from fucking that far. I could have been like front row for
Yeah.
all I fucking care.
Yeah.
Like it was one of those things, and not only just that, but I can't understate how important Joey Jordison was to the influence of my drumming, of my playing up to everything.
Hmm.
Like and that's something that I'm so glad that there's been a lot of other podcasts that have been talking about this in this kind of way because um a lot of times there have been people that have said like he and the thing that I love, the thing that I've stuck with is that he brought blast beats to the mainstream.
Yep.
He brought extreme drumming to the mainstream
Yep.
when
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
something that was cool, when it wasn't something that was
It's actually a really good point.
yeah, like, and I love that, man. Like and without his influence, without hearing Iowa, and I remember like there was a story we were talking about that I want to tell right now, maybe to kind of wrap up on this, but I was in like middle school, maybe even elementary. No, it was definitely middle school. I was like, I don't know, like seventh grade or whatever, in a
Hmm.
computer lab, and this is before I even really got into heavier music before I was even like, you know, introduced to it, before there was any real like, you know, like before I could even really like pinpoint like that's what I want to do type shit. Like I was a sponge to shit really, and that's like I felt myself in later years, especially now, trying to get more into that, just trying to like tap more into that, like just being a sponge for heavy music, for just influences,
Absolutely.
for sounds and stuff. But I was in middle school, right? And maybe the heaviest thing I was probably into Avenged at this point. I was like, because City of Evil was a huge record for me for the same, oddly enough, the same reason that Iowa and Volume 3 were, because of the rev, because of the drums and stuff. You know, so I was always into that, but like I always, like with Avenged, I always wanted something heavier, because they, like their first 3 records are very different from what they're doing now. Like, what they're doing now is very like accessible, very like, you know, it's a little less my speed, I guess. But the first record, Waking the Fallen, and specifically City of Evil, were the albums that, and it was because of the fact that I was in a Dream Theater, because of the fact that I was into this kind of like, you know, and this was like, I mean, I remember listening to like Train of Thought from Dream Theater when I was in like 5th grade.
Yeah.
You know,
Jesus
like
Christ.
just doesn't make sense that I should have been into this, but I was.
No.
You know? And it was because of like the stuff my dad was listening to.
Yeah.
I feel like I just kind of caught on to that.
Yeah.
And I got into Avenged because of the same reason, like because of the drums and stuff. Like I always really liked that the rev was always kind of like similar to Mike Portnoy, as far as his style. But then, yeah, man, you know,
Middle school.
yeah. Like yeah, right, sorry.
Okay.
I'm losing it. But yeah, so middle school, right? I'm sitting in the computer lab, and I'm like kind of looking stuff up, you know, kind of being bored, like as you are, like not really paying attention to stuff, like having access to the internet. I want to hear some music.
Yeah.
I've been seeing this band, this logo everywhere, this like star logo, this like, you know, this S logo, and I was like, what is this, you know? So I looked it up, and I went to their website, which is Slipknot 1 at the time. I'm sure it's still the same exact thing it was. But the first song that starts playing is People Equal Shit, right? The first song off Iowa, like the first, like that just kicks everything off. Like I remember having my headphones in, listening to that, and like walking out of the room and feeling my hands like just chills, man. Like
Felt
because
electricity.
Yeah. Like I was like, I don't know what that was, but holy shit. Like I'm scared, man. Like I'm scared of that shit.
I just discovered how to masturbate, guys.
Kind of
Basically that.
Yeah, well, you know, like it's just something new, something different. You're like, holy shit, man. Like, you know, like what is that?
Yeah.
And then, you know, I was in a band with a friend of mine. We since kind of got, you know, like we're not as close as we used to be, but like, you know, we used to like get each other into different music and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember like going over to his place and like getting a bunch of music like on his computer, because we used to have the old like Apple iPods when it was an iPod.
Right.
It was like you know, whatever, like the 8 gig or what the fuck ever.
Yeah.
The real like.
Yeah.
And
with the click wheel.
Yeah. Side note, the fact that like, all right, so I had an iPod Shuffle, right?
Yeah.
That had like 500 gigs. 500 gigs of music? That's
on a
like
shuffle?
That's like 4 albums, dude. Could you imagine like
No, wait, 500 gigs? Hang on. That's way more than 4 albums.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm a little off. So that's like but even still, the fact that like now, like I can look up and just have like just access to whatever the fuck I want, whether it be through YouTube or just anything, like, but the fact that like you had to back in the day, like, you know, you had to be selective about the shit that you wanted on there.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe it wasn't gig, maybe it was 500, maybe it was like
It was
100 something.
probably megabytes. It was probably
Yeah,
like 500
yeah,
megs
yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Because I was gonna say this is only like 100 something gigs,
Okay,
and I
so
fit
maybe
all
I'm.
of my music on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah, it was probably way
yeah,
less than that. But either way, you know, like you had to pick and choose what you wanted.
very selective. Yeah,
um, you know, to that kind of era and stuff, and like, you know, so we would always trade stuff back and forth, and I think really, you know, and this was that, yeah, this really would have been like 2004, 2005, like
Mhm.
right when Volume 3 was a big deal, right when I first heard Duality for the first time. Um, you know, that I was like, you know, I knew that there was something different about this band, like what I was hearing,
yeah,
but I wasn't quite sure what it was.
right.
You know, and everywhere I went, like a lot of the, because, you know, like when I first like heard about them, I mean they'd been around for a few years,
Yeah,
and at this time, like Volume 3 is kind of the same way that I feel like Volume 5 was, because of the fact that, like, you know, after Iowa, and there's a documentary that's really good about them, that they talk about the like what Iowa was, and there's like
hmm
a whole big, you know, like story behind it and stuff. But they were talking about the fact that like Iowa was almost their last record. Like they
hmm
almost self-destructed during that album
yeah,
because of just all the, you know, the personal struggles and just the, you know,
crazy shit
yeah,
that was going on. Yeah,
and the fact that they were so huge off of that first record, the
yeah,
way that nobody else had ever been before,
yeah,
and everybody only wanted the next Wait and Bleed. Everybody
yeah,
only wanted
yeah.
like the next, you know, like the next single or whatever.
hmm
So there almost wasn't a Volume 3, you know, and just like with that knowledge and with the fact of, like, you know, I remember the things that always would stick out to me about Volume 3 was, you know, was the drum stuff, you know,
Right.
was like the style of it, was the fact that, you know, there was, I mean, just little bits of it. Like Welcome had just the crazy drum opening.
hmm
Obviously, Pulse of the Maggots
hmm
is huge.
hmm
Huge song off the album.
Great song.
Duality, obviously.
Yep.
Before I Forget, which
Yep.
you know, over the years I kind of take or leave that song.
It's probably gotten overplayed for you.
Yeah, the same kind of way that Duality has, but I'm also kind of getting back into that a bit, just because I like, there's something about just that song that's
Such a
always
great
cool to
fucking
me.
song.
Yeah. So, you know, like, I guess to kind of like wrap it up, man. Like, I just, you know, I mean, with the kind of the same way that, you know, you're like buying all this gear stuff on guitars and stuff, you know, like the day that it happened, man, like I was at work, right?
hmm
And Mike had texted me,
hmm
and I only briefly saw what he you know, what he wrote to me until I opened his message, and was like, he was like, you know, Joey passed away or whatever, and I was like, shut the fuck out.
Right.
It was like,
Oh, that's
no,
yeah. No,
yeah,
that was my reaction when I rolled out of bed and that first post I saw saying Lexi died. I was like, yeah, right.
yeah,
Go to fucking hell. There's no
just
way.
disbelief of
There's
it, yeah,
absolutely no way.
yeah,
Like that's impossible.
yeah,
Like it doesn't make sense. For a brief moment right there, you're just that is in your head. You literally go, that is absolutely impossible.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then it is, and then the world's different.
yeah. You know, man, you know, the night that I, you know, I guess, like, you know, I mean, kind of backtrack a little bit, but the, you know, the when I found out about, like, you know, I was at work and
Yeah.
stuff, and I just kind of had to sit with it,
Yeah.
which is weird because I've never, at least up to this point, I've never really had quite that kind of experience before, you know, and I remember, like, kind of going away and just, like, you know, whether it was on break or whatever, just whatever I was doing, but like, I just, you know, when I had a moment to myself, I was like just kind of numb to it, you know,
I was, yeah.
like, you know,
That
you
is
just,
exactly how I felt too.
yeah, like,
Just numb.
yeah, like there's nothing I could.
And you're like going through, and you're at work already,
It's
so you're just like going through the motions, but you almost feel like you're not even there.
yeah,
Like, I'm doing this right
It's
now,
so-
but I am not here.
Yeah. It's so weird.
I remember going to work that day, like waking up, trying to have a normal morning, just feeling absolutely numb, and then going to work. And what really struck me was like, I felt numb and like not. I felt alone in like my feelings. And I guess what I mean by that is I show up at work and there's just this raging hurricane going on inside my head about what just happened.
Mm.
And like nobody else even knows who he is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Y'all need to fucking know what happened today, who we lost. Like, this is huge. And it's just like nobody blinks an eye because they've never even heard of him.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, it fucks me up a little bit. I don't like that.
That messed with me quite a bit because I remember like saying to a few people.
And how many of them said who?
Well, I kept it kind of close to the chest because
I did too.
I knew that whoever I was talking to, whoever I was addressing, wouldn't really understand the impact of it. You know?
The only people I actually opened up to about it were you and Preston and Matt and the podcast.
Yeah.
So because nobody's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna get it if they don't know who he is. You know.
So yeah, man. Like I just I kind of kept it quiet and stuff, and like that. I remember going home that night and I bought like a fifth or an eighth or whatever of fucking Jack.
A fifth?
And
you can't buy an eighth of Jack.
Yeah.
That's something else.
Whatever.
Entirely.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're buying something else entirely.
Yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Let me get an eighth of Jack.
Yeah. But either way, so I had that. I was like, the only thing I know how to do right now is to just put on Slipknot. Like, and so I put on Sickness, which is the last recorded live.
Oh, with Joey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was on the heels of would have been All Hope Is Gone, I guess. The last documentary that they put out with them, and then right after that, it was Disaster Peace, which, by the way, I was playing some stuff off that earlier, but if you haven't seen that yet, and you want to have any, it's either Disaster Peace or the Big Day Out 2005 performance of the band. But like, if you ever want just anything that will give you like a scale of just the importance of the band, or like just what that, because those are not only those two of my favorite performances of all time, mostly I mean for a variety of reasons. Well, I guess there's three of them, because there's those two, and then the Sickness one I was talking about, which is the last one, which I guess would have been 2010. There was their download performance, which is really, really good. It has a lot of songs off All Hope Is Gone, stuff like that. A lot of stuff that they don't really play too often. But yeah, I started those. I'm pretty sure I passed out and woke up, and like the menu shit from Disaster Peace was playing, which was just the instrumental of People Equal Shit. Just keep running
over
forever.
and over.
Yeah. And like I just kind of lost my mind, man. Like, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really know what else to do. Like, I just kind of sat there and just watched it, and just, it's weird too, because, like these people are like icons, really.
Yeah.
It's like Joey to me was, and I love the fact that there's so many and like in a lot of the podcasts I've been listening to, like there's been people that have said, like or just people that have interviewed him, really, and just said like that he was just the most humble person.
Yeah.
He was the most.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah, like he just, was super.
He's a really good guy.
Yeah, but beyond just that was just was just cut from the fucking cloth metal.
Yeah.
You know, just really lived what he did and stuff. And, you know, and to kind of call back to like, you know, buying equipment stuff. You know, like I know you bought way too many guitars over the last little while. You know, I bought a like his signature snare drum, which I have been.
Is it come yet?
Yeah. Oh,
it came?
Yeah. I'm using it on the cover that we're doing. Of a specific song.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if you were ready to announce it or not. So hell yeah, awesome. We will talk about that.
So there's that. I got a. It isn't like the only thing that kind of bums me out about it is the fact that it isn't being like I kick myself for this because there was a time in my life where I was physically in the same place as the exact snare drum that I was looking at, and it was the same one that I have, but it has the S logo on it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why that one is so hard to find.
Huh.
But the one that I have is just a matte black, and it's just got his little like emblem thing on it, which is still cool.
Sick.
And it's still the exact same snare drum.
Yeah.
It's just different. And if I can ever find that one, if there's anybody out there that has it and that's willing to trade me or like
Crip Crew,
anything like that, like please fucking let me know.
Aaron needs a Slipknot snare drum.
Yeah, it will be honored forever.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever play it. But you know, I got there's another he put out a line of cymbals during the All Hope Is Gone era. They're black. They're like they're the Alpha Black series.
Yes.
I've been looking for just any of them. I got a somebody was selling a used ride cymbal, which I pocketed. I was like, I gotta have that shit.
Hell yeah.
There's somebody on and I don't know how much you buy on Etsy. I don't know how much you go on Etsy.
Every chain that I'm wearing right now came from Etsy, and these 2 bracelets.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are sick.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I get a lot of stuff from Etsy. That came from Etsy.
Oh yeah.
That poster
makes
came
a lot
from
of
Etsy.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was well then you'll love this.
And so did the other one in my room.
Yeah. I would say you'll love this then because there was somebody that was making like mock-ups of the Volume 3 style, like jumpsuit style, but they were making them in hoodies, and they were like they were like custom making with the numbers on them.
Oh.
So I got number 1.
That's
I got like
sick.
it's the Volume 3 era, which I'm really excited about.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So I got one.
And it's
of those.
like a hoodie.
Yeah.
Yo. That's fire.
There's that shit, and then I have another thing I'm really, really, really excited about that I'm trying to figure out what to do with because I feel like I really need to do something with this. There was somebody, and I shouts out real quick to they'll probably never see this. Who gives a fuck? I don't.
Hey,
care.
you never know. We never know anymore.
Yeah, I hate AJ Good.
Who?
Fucking AJ Good. House of Masks guy.
Oh.
The House of Masks.
He's
on
great.
YouTube, dude. I like.
He's got something you want.
Yeah,
What's
like
he got?
well, not specifically him, but he really he buys a lot of and has a lot of like replica Slipknot masks.
Yes.
Like just
he's got like a whole Slipknot thing.
Oh yeah. And I had no idea that like that was even a thing that you could do.
What?
That there were like mask makers out there that made like replica Slipknot masks and shit.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Outside of like you know, I know I've because I get all my masks from Trick or Treat Studios.
Yeah.
So like there's stuff like that out there that I knew existed, but what are you talking about?
So like it kind of depends. Like there are ones that do like that have the I don't know how it works. Like there's still aspects of it that I don't really understand. But there are ones that like so you know the original clown mask.
Yeah.
The really creepy looking one.
Yeah.
They're like they don't print those anymore.
Right.
So there's somebody out there that makes variants of them.
Really?
To buy them either blanks or like two like replica of what they are off the first record or just whatever it is. Honestly, if I could have any one of them as far as like variants or whatever, I would love to have an Iowa style clown.
Yeah.
From the Left Behind era. It's got like the gnarly like pentagram and stuff, like the head.
Oh,
like
that one.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I love that. Any of the Corey Taylor ones from the first couple records, but they're so rare to find. But yeah. So anyway, I say that to say that I found somebody that was on Etsy that makes and that has a uh like as close as you can get Dynamo. uh I guess this would have been self-titled mask.
Dynamo.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it was their and that was the tour that they did.
That was the name of the tour?
Yeah. That was
okay.
it was like a big festival deal.
Okay.
And it was one of the first ones that they did. And the reason that it was either between that one or the wait or not the wait the Left Behind variant.
Okay.
Which is the red one, which is like the weird like.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember that.
So yeah, I don't know, just kind of in.
So you found somebody on Etsy that makes these?
Yeah.
That you can buy them?
Yeah, and I bought the. I think it's still a little bit out. I haven't really had seen anything from it, but I have the Black Dynamo one, and let me show this because to kind of give a little more context. But
see this
like
shit.
I like the thing that I love about just the band in general and just like what they've kind of what they've been able to do stylistically and just you know like I guess merch wise is like I can't think of another band that for one has a drummer that has pretty much influenced and inspired the style of just extreme metal going forward into the mainstream. The fact that there was somebody that was playing blast beats on stuff that was playing on
the radio,
just open radio was insane.
Yes.
But also just they really understand how to do the collector side of things. It's pretty crazy that
they are really good at that. But I would definitely, and I think this is low hanging fruit, so I'm gonna pick it. I don't think there's any argument that the band that has done better than anybody else at monetizing who they are is Kiss.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know
for sure. Yeah,
but Slipknot in terms. Because there is a lot of hardcore collectible Kiss stuff, but Slipknot in terms of modern bands, I can't think of anybody else that's done it like that as well. There's when you have an holy shit, show that to the camera.
Yeah. So that's kind of bad.
There it is. You can see it. Yeah, they can see it. Yeah, there you go.
The only other version that I'm really looking for, if anybody has any real connection with this, if anybody can point me in the same direction, I would love either a Volume 3 mask that he had because
Joey's?
Yeah.
Okay.
I absolutely love that style, but also the All Hope Is Gone with the stitches and with the crown of thorns, the crown little thing they had on.
Yep.
I
love that one.
There's something about that.
It's so sick.
I love it.
Is there anywhere where you can you go to slipknot.com and get like a $20 Joey Jordison mask?
Used to, and all right, so I with every release that they do, I feel or at least really since Volume 3 probably, mostly just because that's kind of when I became aware of the fact that you could buy something like this.
Right. Before that, they might not have even sold them.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But there has been with every record that they've put out
the mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know with the last one you could get them on.
And I actually I got with just because I was a fan of how it looked, and I know that the House of Masks channel has reviewed a couple of different masks and stuff from the website.
Yeah.
Which sometimes kind of sways.
Oh yeah, you did get one.
Yeah. Upon whether or not I got Jay's.
Yeah.
From the most recent order of stuff, or the most recent
album.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like it. I would definitely probably change a few things about it because it is kind of crude. It is,
The reason why I was asking is if we can find a just I'm not saying not well made or something like that, but a relatively inexpensive Joey mask that, you know, we're not too worried about keeping it perfect and pristine or whatever. What if we literally put it over Alexi's face in that poster?
That'd be sick.
And that's our little tribute to him. Because they were literally friends.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if they'd ever made some music together.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, what would that have sounded like?
Oh man, that'd be like the craziest like Finnish metal you've ever heard.
And we just literally put like a Joey mask right over Alexi right here.
Yeah.
That'd be sick. I think that would look awesome.
Yeah.
I think that would, and I think if Alexi were alive, he would probably play a show with a Joey mask on or something. You know what I mean? Like he would dedicate something to his friend.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, that just popped in there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man, I just kind of in closing, you know, I want to say that, you know, I can't ever really honestly, like, for one, put into words how like just how much his art, his style, his what he means to me, like what his style meant to me, just into words without going on for hours and hours. But also, you know, like, I mean, man, like when you're a younger kid, right? And you know, whether, you know, I mean, because I mean, for everybody, middle school, high school is tough, right? You know, just to kind of like fit in, to kind of figure out who the fuck you are, you know. I struggled with that quite a bit, and it wasn't really until, you know, I found that band, I found that sound, I found, you know, I mean, Pulse of the Maggots for the longest time was just the song that just got me through a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
You know, and it still is to this day. Maybe a little bit less, or, you know, there's some other songs that are kind of come in place.
It goes in,
yeah,
comes in waves.
Yeah, but you know, regardless, I hope that, you know, that I can in some way, and that is why, you know, I want to talk about the fact that I'm you know, and it wasn't something that we ever planned on doing. It wasn't something that ever, like, you know, because we talked about doing cover songs for a long time. We talked about doing stuff like that.
You and Bog Wraith,
yeah, but it wasn't ever something that, I mean, we the closest we've come to a cover is fucking Chumbawamba.
Yeah, you got that Chumbawamba.
Yeah, which is we're doing something pretty fucking cool with it.
Wait, what?
But, yeah,
with Chumbawamba?
Yeah. We're kind of like reworking a little bit. But,
hang on.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but regardless of that, you know, I didn't like, I always knew, and like I was, you know, especially like, you know, just being in band since like middle school, high school, you know, like just like, you know, you toss around the idea of doing cover songs, right? Like you talk just anytime. I remember like towards the end of one of the high school bands I was in, we did a cover of Sick, which was pretty cool. But man, like I'm not gonna say what song we're doing right now.
Now, aren't you?
We are a part of
yes.
and I don't even really know what to call it, because I don't know if it has a name or if it has something specific to do with it.
Wasn't it like a tribute?
Yeah, but it is some kind of like, you know, first 4 album era Slipknot tribute cover song EP.
Yes.
Type of compilation.
You guys are involved.
Yeah, with us and a bunch of bands, and each band gets to pick a certain song that they do.
How the hell did you get involved in this?
Mike, to be honest with you, because the only other person that is as big of a Slipknot fan as I am is Mike. Like, we talk about this shit all the time. He was actually the, like, and I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but he was the reason that I found out that Joey passed away.
Yeah, you did.
He sent me a text about it. We talk about this shit all the time. Like, and since then he sent me some real, like, old school live performances of them that I've never seen.
Damn.
I'm like, dude, this is sick type stuff.
Damn.
So he got into contact with somebody. I don't know if it was through our swap club. Shouts out. I don't know if it was through that somebody was like, hey, there's this thing going on that you guys might want to be part of, but they just sent us like a list of a bunch of songs, I guess, with like bands that were next to them that they were covering. And the song that we chose, the song that we're doing, was one that he brought up to whoever was heading this up and was like, we want to do this song. And they were like, okay, we'll add it to the list. Type shit.
No, it wasn't even on the list yet.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah,
Holy
because
shit.
it was between the one that we chose and Disaster Piece, which would have been sick as fuck too, because I love that song.
So, do we have any sort of idea on when we might be able to hear this?
In the next, like, month or so.
So
broad.
No, we'll just say like between now and Halloween.
Yeah.
Between now and Halloween,
sure.
Between now and Halloween, the world will be graced with a Balgraith Slipknot cover.
Yeah, and man, like when I say that
new music.
Yeah, when I say not only because not only have we been working on the cover, we've also been going pretty headlong into doing a bunch of other recording stuff and new music.
Yep.
But when I say, and I remember even saying this during the recording of what we were doing of this cover, that I was like, dude, I have straight up been waiting my whole fucking life to do a cover of one of their songs.
Yes.
I was like, and like we, like I said, we did one in like, in a high school.
In an old band, yeah.
But nothing to this scale.
No.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have possibly not maybe have potentially heard something earlier. Holy shit. Like
the early version, but you know this song.
Everybody knows this song.
This is like
everybody knows this song.
Staple.
If you love Slipknot, you love this song.
I will say that it is usually one of their closers.
Good teaser.
I will say
good
that,
teaser. Yeah. Good teaser. That was very good.
Yeah.
It's usually a closer, so remember that.
What?
So this is new Balgraith coming. And that's got to be. See, that's got to feel, because when Alexi died, yeah, that was we already talked about it, but that's something like it launched me back into playing more guitar and all that stuff, and just surrounding myself with things and stuff like that, t-shirts, whatever. It's got to feel, because during part of the reason why I did all that and bought all that shit is because I didn't feel like I had any kind of an outlet for the way I was feeling about it.
Yeah.
So it's got to feel pretty fucking good to be able to be in a band and actually do a cover song in tribute to him. Like, to be able to actually do that with a band has got to be a pretty positive release.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. Well, pause that just a second, just real quick.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it really was.
It's got to feel pretty good to be able to like to be able to do that. And above all, like the other part of it too is that you have another member in your band, a friend, who is as big of a fan as you.
Yeah.
So it's gotta like be just awesome for both of you to like be able to like work together on doing a tribute for your hero.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's the type of thing where, like, the one that we're doing is an earlier song, and it is in a lot of ways a tribute to not only Joey but to Paul in this sense.
Yeah.
It's a chance to, and really, like when this all kind of came about, I was kind of still at a bit of a loss. Like it was still pretty fresh to me. It was about a few days after, maybe it was about a week or so after that this kind of came up. And yeah, we started talking about it and stuff, and like I really didn't know what to do, like, because I was at a point where, and I still will, like I'm still in, and there's even something that I'm really, I think I want to get into and like really kind of make it a thing. I think it could be really cool. There's this other idea that I have, to kind of like pay my, you know, kind of pay it forward a little bit. But also like, you know, in doing this earlier song and doing all this stuff, it's very, you know, because it's chance to kind of, you know, I don't know if closure is the right term to use.
I think,
but
I get what you mean.
Yeah,
I know that I get the feeling you're trying to convey. Yeah,
and I like it's. I don't know if any of the other bands that are on this are approaching it with the same way, you know, with the same sense that I am. But like when I heard about the fact that this was going on, I was like, for one, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like need to like we need to do something with this. But for two, you know, I need to like there's a line in it's either opium of the people or it's either welcome, where the line is the only way is all the way.
The only way.
Yeah.
It's all the way.
And
the only way.
And like I swear to God, man, like
the only way is all the way.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that's like if you don't know where to start, go back to
that type of shit, man.
Yeah.
Like it just hit me one night.
That shit is the mad notes.
Yeah. You know, and like I've
that's in everything, dude.
Yeah.
The only way is all the way. Lost in the Dark podcast. Bog Wraith.
Yeah. You know, and so
something.
I'm
not going to finish that. But anyway.
Yeah. So in just agreeing to do this cover and like wanting to pay respect to that, like, and there's a lot of bands that are doing their own thing with it, and I respect that. I love that. I think that's cool that there are, you know, that there are like for one, this really kind of shows me how much of an impact his style and his sound and just Slipknot in general has had on the metal scene, on the metal community. But all, you know, like, but to, you know, to be able to, like, my approach with it was just wanting to pay that respect forward with the way that the song was written.
Yes.
With the intensity of it.
Yes.
While also adding that bit of like freestyle stuff to it, because I always, that's something that, and to kind of call back to what I was talking about earlier with the live stuff, with seeing them live, is like anytime I ever saw them live, anytime I ever even heard their live performances of a different song, Joey would always play these different like just slight little things that would change up what the song was. That would kind of just give it this little special kind of, like, you know, one time only kind of sound to it, which I loved. And that's, you know, I definitely approach just live playing with that same mentality, you know. You know, I just the fact that this came up
was awesome.
At a time where I was like, you know, I knew that I wanted to, like, and I, you know, I'll still, like, there's a couple of, like, drum playthrough stuff that I'm gonna, like, post just in general for that, because there's a few songs that I've been playing through for a long time that I just haven't really put out there as far as cover-wise that I like to do, you know, just to kind of pay homage.
Definitely. If I weren't so fucking shitty at guitar still, I would definitely have put up an Are You Dead Yet cover, or wanted to do one with you or something, you know what I mean, or but yeah, I'm not good with it. So
we'll get there.
Working on it.
Yeah.
That's like the one song I want to know how to play top to bottom so bad. And that's the other thing too. That was the biggest, that, and I've even mentioned this to you a few times. That was one of the hard parts with me, with Alexi, is that they, to this day, I've barely heard hardly anybody talk about him on a podcast.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's talked about him more than we have. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I heard maybe like Clown said something or some. I know somebody did say something on it, but even my go-to, even I don't to this day, I don't even think Jamie Justice mentioned it.
Yeah.
On the Justice show, and that just breaks my heart, because it's like, and I haven't heard Randy say anything. I mean, he made a post, but I haven't heard him on a podcast, and I know they were super close. You know, Mark Morton did say he got like a guitar lesson from him once. That was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. But you know, so I'm really happy for you that you definitely had, you know, between the cover and them being as enormous as they are, everybody talking about them on the podcast, there's a lot, and it's got to help in feeling like less alone in your grief. You know what I mean? Because like for me, a lot of it, I was like the only people that understand what the fuck I'm talking about right now are in my Bodum After Midnight Facebook group or Preston and Aaron, and nobody else in the world gets it. You know what I mean? So it was very like kind of lonely, you know, in that sense.
Well, what it's still, I mean, there definitely still, like to that point, still very, very much was, because it's that's something I kind of struggle with too. It's like, no matter how many posts I see, no matter how many things that like kind of remind me of how just special this person was.
Yeah.
Like what they left on, not just me, but just countless numbers of other
generation.
people. Yeah.
Generation kids.
Yeah, but you still, there's just that thing, and I don't really even know what to call it. I don't even know what it is, but there's just that thing that just like, no matter what, like no matter how many posts you see, it's still just, it doesn't, like, it's not that I'm denying the fact that it happened. It's the fact that, like, I don't really know. I mean, and it's also weird too because, like I mentioned at the top of it, like, Joey was out. He hasn't been in Slipknot since like 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So he was kind of in a little bit in the background maybe, and there was definitely parts of, there's a big point in time where I wasn't really paying full attention to what he was doing outside of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't. There was never a point where I ever like discredited any of that, like, because I wasn't as into what he was doing at the time than what he was doing when he was in, this particular thing that I love.
Yeah.
But that doesn't undercut the influence and the thing that,
No, just because you weren't paying attention 24/7 to every little thing. There were, even though I never missed a Michigan date, when Bodum was doing when it was like the after Blood Drunk and before Hail of Blood, I didn't pay super close attention to what was going on there. It's just because I kind of fell out of it.
Yeah.
Going back now and re-listening to things like I Worship Chaos and Relentless Reckless Forever. Relentless is like quickly becoming one of my favorite Bodum albums ever.
Fuck yeah.
And so it's not, what's important is what we do now. You know what I mean? What's important is how we keep them alive in our community.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. That's what we do. That's our job now.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that both of these two things happened within like the same few months of each other.
Me too. It's fucking insane to me.
Because
like we both lost our biggest influences within 6 months. We both both of our worlds completely fucking, like I told you, like, before Alexi, I genuinely believed that when the pandemic ends, life will go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But now that's impossible.
Yeah.
Because normal life for us is, every once in a while seeing Joey Jordison or Alexi Leho play live.
Yeah.
And that never gets to happen again. And
I've been dealing with that since, as far as like the playing aspect of it, since he left the band.
Well, sure, but he did other stuff, and you could still see him. Like you said, he played with Korn, and who was the other? Rob Zombie.
Yeah.
So you said he was doing something with John 5 or whatever.
Oh,
what's his name?
Yeah.
Wednesday 13.
Yeah.
Wednesday 13. There we go. So you would still occasionally have an opportunity to still see him perform, not as regularly as maybe I did with Bodum, but like still, it was still there. You know what I mean? Like, and it was never impossible for him to end up back in Slipknot someday. You know what I mean? That was never out of the question.
That was always something I always hoped. And to be honest, like when they were announcing like the new guy, like the new guy after Chris, there was a part of me that was like a weird, like, not like fever dream or whatever.
Well, you're like, what if it's Joey?
I was like,
yeah,
like, it just the stars aligned, everything just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
You wanna pass me that real quick?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna close with something real quick. We talk a lot about the love of metal. We talk
For
about
the love of metal.
We talk about the reason that we do this is to stay tried and true to what is important. And one of the biggest things that I could say that I took from this experience, and by the way, not but 2 or 3 days after, and this is in no way to undercut the importance of these people, but the vocalist for Metal Church, we lost, and the bass player whose name escapes me right now. I'm really sorry. But the bassist from ZZ Top.
Oh God, yes, of course. I was like the bassist.
Yeah,
yes.
Who is?
A legend.
We got a
Dusty
Hill.
Yeah, Dusty Hill. Yeah,
I want to say.
Yeah.
Lost him like 2 days after Joey.
Yep.
ZZ Top was a band that kind of in the same, like I'm not super into them.
I've never
say I'm super into.
I'd be a poser if I said I knew more than Sharp Dressed Man.
Yeah. But I know that, and I was into them in the same way that I got into Dream Theater, a lot of other bands, to my dad.
Through your dad.
Yeah, because he was always a big fan. He introduced me to their first couple albums, which are still really good. Like just super like. And
see, I can't even tell you. I've never even. I don't think I've ever heard an album top to bottom. To be totally honest, always had great respect for them. Always loved them.
Yeah.
Loved their look. Loved everything about them. But just never dove deeper than what's in the mainstream.
Yeah. Which is fair. I feel like that's where a lot of people are.
And there's a lot of bands that are like that for me. And lately, I've been getting into them. Like I realized the same thing recently. I've told you with Rob Zombie, and I've been digging deep into his catalog lately, and really enjoying it. Like really enjoying it.
Yeah. Tres Hombres. It's got.
Is that an album?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got.
Tres Hombres, Three Friends, nice.
Waiting for the Bus, Beer Drinkers, Hellraisers, LaGrange. Those songs.
I will have to. You know what? I will have to check out some other stuff. I bet you they got some banging ass deep cuts.
1973.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, there was, and I guess because my dad always, because he was a big fan of them.
Okay.
And still is. He always talks about the fact that like. Once they got to like the Eliminator record,
that must have been a rough week in your house. Your dad, and you lost an idol in the same week.
Yeah. But he always talks about the Eliminator album, the fact that like they started later on in ZZ Top's career, they started using a drum machine. It wasn't quite the same as what it used to be. Yeah. But I always had a really deep, or not really. Oh, I don't know. I always just had a common respect for that, for ZZ Top, because not only I watched the banger documentary that they put out recently about ZZ Top recently.
Put out recently?
Yeah. It's a whole thing about
like this year recently, or
I'd say like maybe like last 2 years.
Fuck, have I seen that? I don't know if I've seen that or not.
I'll have to see
if I haven't, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, it's really sick. Like it's kind of in the same way that like the Rush documentary was, or like the Iron Maiden one was.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less.
Do they actually are there like interviews?
Yeah.
Like you actually see people sitting in chairs and stuff?
Yeah.
Because that's when they did the Alice Cooper one. That was my only complaint. It was the whole thing was like a montage of pictures. You never saw anybody talking.
Yeah.
And that was kind of annoying. But
yeah. This one, as far as I know, was like straight up like interviews with the band and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Different. So
I would love
it was. Yeah, I liked it a lot, and I learned a lot of stuff about it. But just man, yeah, like that. Just the week that happened.
They come in threes.
Yeah,
it's
so weird
every
too,
fucking time.
Yeah,
every fucking time.
I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. It's really weird.
Yeah, but I just in closing, we've been doing this quite a bit.
Yep.
But I just like you know, the thing that I always go back to about Joey, about Alexi even, because a lot of the stuff that they said about Joey, and a lot of the stuff, just a lot of the stories that I've heard about him, are the same thing that people are saying about Alexi, and that is that Joey lived and was straight cut from the fucking cloth of metal. You know, he lived it, breathed it. He influenced myself and just countless others to play drums, to you know, but like to learn blast beats before anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brought blast beats to the mainstream. Which I love, you know, and
changed everything.
Yeah,
changed everything.
You know, and I just, you know, I wanna say whatever, just thank you, man. Like you know, there's definitely points where I was kind of in and out of being into Slipknot, into being in and out of, you know, just metal in general, you know. But I always came back to it for the same reason, and that was the same reason that Joey lived for and breathed for, you know, and that is the fact that, you know, that's what's important, you know, is to, you know, just the only way is all the way. You know,
the only way is all the way.
Just he lived and breathed metal. You know, he lived and breathed this music.
They were like, let's see, they were the real deal.
Yeah.
They were people like you and I look at them and go, that is the epitome of everything I want to be.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
There's very few times that I've had that I've ever, like, you know, specifically shows, like the last Cape Breeze show at Harpo's went to, first time I saw Slipknot, for example, the first handful of times seeing Dark Sermon.
How about that first time we saw Iron Maiden?
Oh, dude, yeah, like stuff like that. It's that kind of shit that is like, when you see it, you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah,
yeah, know? And like,
yes,
specifically for Slipknot, for me, it was the fact that, you know, it's a 9-piece metal band, Des Moines, Iowa.
It's insane.
Wearing masks.
And wasn't it Corey and Joey? Weren't those the two interviewed in Metal Headbangers Journey?
Yeah.
It was Corey, and they were masked up and everything, sitting next to each other. And that's when Corey was like, "We come from a place where kids would rather kill themselves than use their imagination, where the only thing that there is to do is hang out in a fucking graveyard."
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, and I always, like, you know, so I guess, like, I can always pinpoint back to when I recognized that, like, holy shit, you know, this is something I want to do, you know, and that was that first time hearing Volume 3. That was that first time hearing Iowa, hearing People Equal Shit without even really knowing what I was hearing, you know, before I was even really into this shit, you know, and like,
yeah,
it influenced me a fuck ton, man, and like I feel like I feel like it's only growing in me and stuff, and so I just want to say that on behalf of just all the fans, all the maggots around anywhere, you know,
every metal maggot,
like myself included, like, you know, this one was tough, man, and you know, I just there's gonna be a lot more for, like, and I'll be honest, like the first few days after it happened was rough for me.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what to do. I spent a lot of time the first, you know, like there were days where, like, I had you know, whatever going on, and like I sat down at that drum kit and I just played a bunch of their songs and stuff, and like by the end of it, I was so exhausted that I just started crying, man. Like, I just lost my fucking mind, you know. And but it was because it was because, you know, for like it was just it's different now, man. Like I just I hear about you know just I hear interviews about Joey talking about going through MS, going through the fact that like just he sees playing drums differently. Just that after all that happened about not taking shit for granted. I see that kind of stuff, and like it was all that stuff. Like I remember specifically, like I had whatever going on later on in the day. Like I had just spent like an hour early on in the day when I had the chance to, just to sit down, just to play through stuff. And by the end of it, it must have been like an hour and a half, dude. I was on the floor, like just kind of like losing my shit, man. Like I wept over this, man.
It was so like it was so weird for me. Like there was a day I'll never forget when it was beautiful outside. It was actually warm even though it was still winter.
Yeah.
And the sun was out and everything. And I remember the street I was driving. I was making a left-hand turn, and I had Are You Dead Yet playing like a day or two after Alexi died, and I made the left-hand turn, and the song ended, and I just started crying.
Yeah.
And it came out of nowhere. Like I didn't feel it coming on or anything. It just happened. It just came out, and it was just like, and I think I was even like rocking out pretty hard too. Like I don't think I was just sitting there listening to it. I was like headbanging and stuff, and then all of a sudden, I'm never gonna, you think about it, you're never gonna get to see this live again, and
it's pretty fucking heavy, But I just.
And I said for many, many years, I've always said many, and I remember where I was when Dime died. I remember where I was when I found out when Dio died. All these people, I remember all of them where I was. But Alexi is by far the hardest to this day, and I kind of forgot where I was going with that, but it just, yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. Is that I used to always say, the fucking, and luckily somehow it hasn't happened yet. But I always used to like not joke because I was actually kind of being serious, but like I always used to tell people like the day Ozzy dies, you're not going to hear from me for a while.
Yeah.
I'm going to lock myself in my room, light candles, and listen to Ozzy until I feel like I'm okay to come out of my room.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. And
oh man,
I didn't expect anything to that level for when Alexi, but that's basically what I mean, not to that quite extreme, but that's kind of what I did for a few weeks. And just I can't even tell you how many bottles of alcohol I consumed. It's pretty horrifying. But
that was kind of what I was trying to get into, was like that the night that I just came back, just kind of after sitting with it, dude, I kind of lost it.
Yep.
And but it like one of the things that I loved, and there was a podcast that brought up, I think it was the Metal Hammer one that I was listening to, that was doing a tribute on him, was like they're a band that has done so much documenting, so much video stuff that like there's so much footage of it playing. There's so much.
And how valuable is that to you right now?
Oh, dude.
Does that not make you go, we should film every band practice, every show, everything that we do, we should have pictures, film it, do something to that way one day we can, for us, even if we never release it, just for us, so we can look back.
That was a big thing that kind of clicked in my head that day that I was talking about after like just jamming out or like practicing or whatever. That was so tough. Was like I had a moment where I was like, man, it's crazy to me how much stuff happens that like you don't recognize that could just take you out of doing what you love forever.
Yeah.
And one day you could just not be able to do what you want to do.
Yeah. You get sick, you get hurt.
Yeah. And I had a brief, although albeit kind of random, weird ass injury at the start of the year.
Yeah.
But it was the same kind of thing where like it took me out of being able to do what I want to do. And it made me feel like shit, And I was like, I kind of thought about it. I was like, dude, like what if I wake up one day and like, I just like I can't walk or something, or like, I can't hear. I'm supposed to be able to hear, like it just that type of shit scares the fuck out of me. And
Yep.
and I love the fact that there's been this video that's going around. I want to end with this because I think it's really important. There's this video going around, and a lot of people have been talking about this in the just in the memorial and the podcast stuff that everybody's been posting. There was a Golden God Awards that was like 2016, I think, where Joey won the Golden God Award, like the top,
the big one of the night. Okay.
Yeah, highest honor stuff. And this was after he'd been out of Slipknot for like a year. After he'd like just been getting into stuff, and I really want to play this. I don't really care if we get.
Do it. It'll be like almost 2 hours into the episode. If they pin us for that, they can fuck off. I don't give a shit.
But he talks about the fact that, and this was just after he had beat MS, and this was just after everything, and there I think it was the Metal Hammer podcast where they were talking about the fact that one of them was like by side stage, like when he was standing there just before he went up to like accept the award. And they talked about the fact that he was just like, he was like super humble with it. Like he never really felt like he was really like just generous about accepting these kind of things. And that like sticks with me because it speaks to me that, the fact that somebody so inspiring, somebody so like just
influential and massive.
Yeah, so like a real like trailblazer kind of figure is so, just happy and just humble to accept an award that they almost don't feel like they deserve. And there was a lot of people that I guess, when that was going on, that kind of like raised an eyebrow because he hadn't necessarily been in the scene for a little while.
Right.
At this time.
But still.
It's
for what you've done.
Yeah, and just, and the fact that like he went out and like what I'm about to play even kind of like chokes me up a little bit because it's so real, and it's very rare to me that, and like even in all the interviews that I've heard from him and any of the award stuff that I've ever heard, he's always just super, just kind of like down to earth kind of person.
It's that Midwest.
Yeah.
It's because he's from fucking Des Moines, fucking Iowa.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we are. We're fucking humble and just like Alexei, the Finns are the same way. Like, they're basically the Midwest of that part of the world.
Yeah. So I wanna play this and just kind of keep that in mind. But also like
I want to hear this.
Man, it's been tough, but
glasses up.
Rest in power, Mr. Joey Jordison.
May you dine with Odin tonight. I've never heard this.
So I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit.
All good. So nice to hear a crowd.
All right.
Joey! 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 This is what we do. Did you say that to Jamie Josta?
Probably.
Hatebreed! To Hatebreed! That was Jamie Josta! Hell yeah! 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 Definitely one of them. Yeah! We're metalheads. What do you want? Oh, it wasn't MS. Oh, okay, there it is. A form. Okay, my bad. My bad. I didn't know that. He's he was literally choking back tears, and he goes, "Fuck it, get back to the metal."
Yeah, man. So I just, I wanna close with that, and I want to say that like I can't ever put into words like what the first few Slipknot albums mean to me, and what his influence has meant to me, just as a musician, as a person, So.
Yep. Yeah. No way.
Trying to do everything I can to keep that alive, to keep that going. And I've really honestly felt myself, especially after hearing that, because that was kind of circling around the last couple weeks, as far as just things people have been posting and stuff, and I honestly didn't know that he was like that they awarded him of that.
I'm not. Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah. On top of, there's been a lot of other bands that like come before that and stuff, a lot of other people and stuff, but like that really,
they need to bring that back.
Yeah. That speaks to me so deeply. And
yeah.
And without Joey Jordison, I don't feel like I'd be sitting here right now. So, I just yeah.
Pour another one. Because we will close. We will wrap this one up.
This was only supposed to be an hour, but we've gone into like 2 hours, so whatever.
It's what we do.
But yeah, if I will say this, that I really feel like even though it had been a few years since he'd been in the band, even though it had been a few years since he'd really done anything that had been on my personal radar, he always...
He was your goat, man.
Yeah, man. He fucking lived it, dude.
He was the real fucking deal.
Yeah.
And there aren't many of them left.
Yeah.
There aren't many left.
Yeah.
There aren't many real deals left.
Yeah. I ever since that happened, I just in just being a fan of him, and just his sound, his style, his music, and just being a fan of Slipknot, that's the one thing that always brought me back to Slipknot. That's the one thing that always kind of pushed me through, was that they were and still are a band that, no matter what the fuck's going on in my life, no matter what the hell, I just, whenever I'm having just a weird ass day, or just like just something that's just not right, I always just put on one of their songs. I always just put on one of their records, it just takes me away.
Always makes you feel better.
And
every time, no matter what.
I don't think that there was a time that I had cried harder than I did when, the night that I got home, that like I was just kind of left to my own devices.
Yeah,
just kind of,
that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's when you're alone.
Yeah. So I just, I really hope that you guys enjoy the cover that Bog Wraith has done.
Coming soon.
Yeah, I really hope that.
Don't worry, I'll promote the living fuck out of it.
Yeah, man. I always appreciate that. It's just I hope that going forward, there's just that intensity, because I don't know if I never found out about this band, if I never found out about Slipknot, if I ever found, if I never got introduced to this stuff for whatever fucking reason, in
the alternative timeline.
Yeah. I just, it means so much to me, and his influence. It's the reason I've spent way too much money in the last week buying gear and buying stuff just to keep that going. So, I guess I'm I'm hoping that the next podcast that we do, the next video podcast, you'll see some kind of love, some kind of
tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
we'll figure something out.
It's like losing a friend, man.
Yeah. It is.
Oh.
It actually is. You're not wrong. That's exactly what it is. It's losing. It's almost like losing. It's not even losing. Well, yeah, I guess some people, but it's like, yeah, it's like losing a friend, but it's also like losing the person who you have copied. Not. I say copied. I say stole. I say I steal everything from Lexi, but like, what it really is like.
You draw influence.
Drawing, yeah, it's drawing influence. It's God damn it, there's another fucking word though that I can't remember right now. It's not mimicking, but it's like it's like some mix. The meaning of the word I'm trying to think of is like a mix between like idealizing and mimicking. Like it's not, but it's not. None of it's in a negative way. It's I don't know, but
you're inspired.
Yeah. You're just inspired, and it's at the end of the day, it's up to us to keep them alive, and that's what we do. Want to know why? Because the only way is all the way. Cheers.
Okay.
To Joey. All right, everyone. That's gonna be it. This is our tribute episode to Joey Jordison of Slipknot. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you have any special memories or anything you'd like to share with us about Joey or Slipknot, let me know in the comments. Hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, lostinthedarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Play some fucking drums, man.
Play some fucking drums. Pick up a goddamn guitar and try to learn Are You Dead Yet better than me. I suck. But that's going to be it for this episode of Lost in the Dark. We all hope you enjoyed this. And we will be back, as always, very, very soon with much, much more. But until then, raise your fucking horns to Joey fucking Jordison and bang your goddamn heads to some Slipknot. We love you all to death. Good night!